Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dallas Meditation Center and the Awakening Heart Community of Mindful Living. Today is Sunday, June the 6th. So hope you're having a good weekend and glad you are here to join us, either real time while we're broadcasting, or maybe you'll catch us later on YouTube at another time. But either way, welcome. And if you're here for the very first time, just know that it's a pretty easy process and there's no expectations. Just follow along and be with your breath for this short amount of time. So tonight we will have our usual practice of a sitting meditation, a guided meditation, and let me combine that, a seated guiding meditation that you can lie down or walk, whatever you would like to do. And then we will have a talk. And then following the talk, we will be sharing and discussion on Zoom. And it would be great to have you join us on Zoom. That link will appear in the chat window later on in our broadcast. And I also ask you, if you would, to please check in the chat window. Let us know you're here. It's nice to know there's someone on the other side of the screen. And so far, 2 of you have clicked the like button on YouTube. Please do click the like button and or the thumb up. That does definitely help others to find these broadcasts. So with that, just sit back and enjoy some time just to be with your breath and just to be present. And if you know it, you can join Nick in saying the opening affirmation.
All right. Howdy, folks. Noble community, we gather here now to honor the way of peace and nonviolence, the way of wisdom and compassion, the way of joy and beauty, in solidarity with one another, with all humanity, and with all life on earth. Friends on the path, we gather here now to deepen our solidity like a mountain and to renew our freshness like a flower. Through mindful sitting and walking, mindful singing and breathing, and mindful speaking and listening. Family of awakening, we gather here now to celebrate the one infinite light that shines through many religions and many cultures, and to cultivate the wisdom of our many teachers, both ancestral and contemporary, and to affirm the capacity within ourselves and all persons of every race, gender, orientation, and tradition to realize full and complete enlightenment.
Hello, everyone. So glad you could be with us today on this really beautiful day. A little bit hot and windy out in the park, but still was very nice. And really enjoyed all of the trees, the grass, the flowers. Everything is just so lush right now. Really, really nice. I hope you have enjoyed the environment, the day, and that you're gonna kind of spend some time with us. And I know you'll enjoy Lisa's talk, and hopefully you'll come over to Zoom and share with us about your day, about the talk, whatever you would like to share. We'd be happy to hear it. So I'll turn it back to Cornell. No, to Nick.
Surprise. Okay, so now we're going to do the contemplation before we begin our guided meditation. All right, here we go. The Sangha is invited to go back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness brings us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, generate peace as one body, be free as one body. Let us transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. We are one with those caught in situations of oppression. We are also one with the oppressors. We are one with the wise and good people who are present everywhere in the world. There's quite a lot of them out there. We are one with those who are able to embrace the whole of this world with their heart of love and their two arms of caring action. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. I like that sentence, so I'm going to read it again. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. We see that we are not alone. The love and the joy of great beings who are present in this world are supporting us, not allowing us to drown in despair, and showing us the way of understanding, compassion, and right action. Okay, so to prepare for this meditation, first be aware of your posture. Make sure you're sitting with your back straight, but not rigid. Your shoulders straight also, but not slouched and not too tight. With your head slightly leaned forward and your neck and your chin slightly leaned forward toward your throat. Feel free to close your eyes. I prefer to close my eyes, or to keep your eyes slightly focused on the altar or on some object right in front of you. For your feet or your legs, either sit in your chair or sit in a half lotus position, or if you feel inclined, you can lay down on the floor, perhaps without a pillow, as Thich Nhat recommends, just so that you don't fall asleep and you can practice remaining aware of your breath. And once your posture is sorted out, gently become aware of your breathing. Breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose. Simply remain aware of what kind of breath you're breathing. Is it deep, heavy breaths? Is it short breaths? Is your breath warm? Is your breath cool? Simply remain aware of your breathing. The breath and the body are always in the present moment. When we return our awareness to the breath and to the body, we are bringing our attention back to the present. Our breath is our life force. As long as we are breathing, we are living, and that is an opportunity to celebrate. So, paying attention to your breath, bringing your attention back to your breath, helps to stimulate mindfulness, to stimulate the muscle of living in the present moment. It can help one to disidentify from thoughts, feelings, emotions, or other habit energies, and return to the simplicity of the breath. If you notice that your mind has wandered to the past, thoughts of the past or thoughts of the future, or fallen down the rabbit hole of just general thinking, simply take note of that and know that that's okay. It's in the nature of the mind to wander, to drift at times. It's important not to get angry at yourself or mad at yourself when you notice that your mind has wandered. Simply bring your attention back to the breath over and over again, no matter how many times you need to do it. Simply notice when your mind has wandered and bring it back to the breath again and again. When you return your attention to your breath again and again, you're able to sharpen your mind, sharpen your awareness, sharpen your ability to focus on the present moment. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, it's kind of like one of those magicians who practices separating different parts of his body. Maybe he places his arms in the east, his legs in the west, and his head in the north. And mindfulness is like that magician, with one practice bringing all elements of his body back into one, back together. Now that we've cultivated mindfulness with our breathing, focusing on our breath coming in and out through our nose, we're going to then transition to a body scan. So now, focus your attention on the top of your head, top of the head, in an area about the size of a coin. Hold your attention on the top of your head and see if you can feel any sensations there in that space on the top of your head. It could be hot, could be cold, could be tingly, could be itchy, could be sweaty, could be numb. Even numbness is a sensation. Whatever it is, simply remain aware of whatever you feel on the top of your head, top of your head. Now moving your awareness down from the top of your head to your forehead, to your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and your ears, the whole front side of your face. Notice any sensations that you feel around the front side of your face. Now moving down to the back of the head, all the way down to the neck. Notice whatever sensations you feel in the area of the back of your head to your neck. moving down to your right shoulder. Notice what it feels like to have a right shoulder. And gently move your awareness from your right shoulder down to your right arm, your right bicep, your right elbow, your right forearm, right wrist, your right hand, your right fingers. If you'd like, you can even jiggle your fingers a little bit. And just spend a few moments noticing any sensations you feel along your right arm, from the shoulder all the way down to the fingers. Moving to the left shoulder. Pass your awareness down from the left shoulder, down to the left bicep, the left elbow, the left forearm, the left wrist and hand, and the left fingers. And yes, you can jiggle your left fingers as well too, if you'd like. Spend a few moments being aware of any sensations you feel along the left side of your arm, your left arm, from the shoulder all the way down to the fingers. Next, moving from the sternum or the bottom of the neck to the chest, down your upper chest to your middle chest, all the way down to your belly. Noticing any sensations you feel along your chest, the front of your chest. And moving down the back of the neck, the bottom of the back of the neck, at the top of the back, going down your upper back, your shoulder blades, down to your middle back, down to your lower back, all the way down to your seat. Whatever sensations you feel along your back, simply be aware of them. Could be prickly, could be hot, could be cold, could be comfortable, could be uncomfortable. Whatever it is, simply remain aware of the sensation. Next, we're going to go to the right leg, moving from the right hip to the right thigh, the right knee to the right calf, down to the right ankle, down to the bottom of the foot, to the tips of your toes. Feel free to wiggle those toes around if you'd like. What does it feel like to be a human being with a right leg? Next, moving your awareness to your left hip, moving down to the left thigh, the left knee, your left calf, down to your left ankle and your left foot, down to the tips of your left toes. Remaining aware of any sensations you feel from the tips of your toes to your left hip. Now that we've scanned the whole body, spend a few moments passing your awareness all throughout the body. So that could be going from your bottom of your feet up to the top of the head, from the top of the head down to the bottom of the feet. Just keep a continuous passing of awareness all throughout your body. And if there's an area that you don't feel any sensation, simply stop on that area and try to observe if there is any sensation there. And if not, that's okay. Keep moving. But if there is, remain aware of what that area feels like. So continue to pass your awareness up and down the body. And as we finish scanning our bodies, the one and only body that we have in this lifetime, seeing that it is a great blessing to have a body, we're going to end with a little bit of metta, which is loving kindness meditation. And for that, just listen to the words that I'm saying. May all beings in the human realm, the spiritual realm, the plant realm, and the animal realm, may all beings experience real love. May all beings experience real peace. May all beings experience real happiness. May all beings be liberated from anger, from animosity, from fear, from hatred, and from ill will. Now you might say this to yourself: may I experience real love, real peace, real happiness. May I be liberated from all fear, from all anger, from all ill will. Now let's listen to the sounds of the bell.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be at peace. Brahma Vihara Maitri. Brahma Vihara Karuna. Brahma Viharam Udita. Brahma Vihara Upeksha. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at peace.
Okay. Thank you all for joining me in that guided meditation. And thank you for singing, Bobby. Now we're going to do the Refuge Chant, which is where I get to ring this bell really quickly. We take refuge in the Buddha, the awakening heart of infinite light, that which shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the Dharma, the awakening path of infinite light, the way of understanding and of love. We take refuge in the Sangha, the awakening community of infinite light, those who live in harmony and awareness.
Thank you for your guided meditation, Nick, and for leading us through the practice for 3 jewels. I'd like to take a moment to thank again those of you joining us on YouTube, and I'll read the notes from the people who have checked in. John says, bowing in from Plano, and says namaste. Barbara bowing in, grateful for the Sangha and for the good weather. Lauren, namaste, bowing in from Garland. Steve, bowing in from Aubrey, Texas. Crazy Dill 69 says namaste. Mike bows to all. Sherry Thompson says namaste. Paula bowing in from the colony. And Sandy says namaste and hello from Sandy. Well, hello to everyone there, and good to see you. You can still check in if you haven't checked in. It's nice to see several of you over on YouTube and know who's there, because we can't really see you there. So a bit later, after the talk, we will be on Zoom, and I'll put that link up here in a little bit. And then another link that I will put up is also the link for you to share in the creation of these events. Participating and giving and receiving, and that is to share Dana or your support to keep this community going. That link is in the chat window as well as in the description of the video. And so it's dallasmeditationcenter.com/give, or text the word mindful to the number 44321. But again, thanks for joining us, and we'll be here on YouTube for a little bit yet. We'll have a talk, so I'm not saying goodbye quite yet. I didn't mean it to sound that way. So anyway, right now I'd like to invite Bobby to talk, to maybe invite our speaker tonight.
Yes, I am really happy to be able to tell you about Lisa. Lisa November has spoken with us before. She's been a frequent visitor, helped us out with some mindful weekend days and retreats. So it's always a delight to have her with us. Lisa is the founder and I think probably the primary facilitator of the Cultivating Awareness Sangha in Fort Worth. And she's kind of a special thing in my heart. She's her education, at least what it looks like on the online, her education has to do with teaching special education. And I did that too, and I found it very rewarding. So I'm happy to welcome another special ed teacher. And I look forward to Lisa. She wants to tell us a little bit about how we can get ourselves ready for a transition into what might be a new normal. And so I'm glad to have you here, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Gosh, I guess I knew you were a teacher, but I didn't know you were a special educator as well. No wonder I've loved you all along. Tonight, I just wanted to start by saying that the Buddha is known for teaching, come and see for yourself. So whatever ideas I present today, please take this see for yourself mindset. It's kind of like trying on new shoes. Maybe one pinches your toes, or your toes have too much room in a different pair. You never know until you try them on. So see for yourself today. Try it on, and if it doesn't quite fit right, please feel free to take it off. Like Bobby said, I wanted to talk about what I'm calling friendly resilience tonight. I really just can't hear the term resilience without thinking of Dr. Robert Brooks. Dr. Brooks is one of today's leading speakers and authors on the theme of resiliency, motivation, school environment, and positive work climates. During the past 40 years, as a Harvard psychologist, Dr. Brooks has presented to many, many thousands of parents, educators, mental health professionals, and business people. His talks are filled with practical, realistic suggestions, and he's kind of known for his warmth and humor that he uses to bring his anecdote to life. When I first heard Dr. Brooks speak, he told a funny story about his name. He told us, and this was before Google, so he said, if you ever search for him online, search for Dr. Brooks. He wasn't really being elitist, but he said if you just look for Robert Brooks, the first person that will come up is a very muscular, tall football player who played for the Green Bay Packers. That is not me, Dr. Brooks would exclaim in his New England accent to a classroom full of teachers who probably could easily guess by his body type and his appearance that he probably never did play professional football. We all laughed at his self-deprecating humor. He laughed as well. It was one of those great intro jokes, usually set folks at ease. This was in 1998. I was at a conference for special educators in Colorado Springs. Dr. Brooks was one of those speakers that just I immediately connected with, and what he said really resonated with me. It was the first time I heard anyone speak about a resilient mindset. And he even passed out. Remember handouts? People would pass out handouts. We all would touch them and pass them down the row. Anyway, he passed out this resiliency mandala. It had resiliency written across the little circle in the middle, and then had 40 different terms around the outside, such as humor, joy, happiness, compassion, commitment. Like it was 1998. Then in the spring of 1999, on April 12th, to be exact, the shooting happened in Jefferson County School District in Littleton, Colorado. I will never forget that day because the shooting affected me deeply. You see, at the time, that was the district I was teaching in. I was an educational consultant at an elementary school. That morning, around lunchtime, another teacher came in my room and said, something's happening at Columbine. And since I didn't have students in my room, we turned on the TV and we saw the live feed of what was happening at Columbine. Suddenly they show someone running out of the school with a few students, and I recognized that person. It was a man named Robin Ortiz that I had taught with about 5 years previously. I honestly didn't know he was at Columbine. And it was so shocking to see him run out of that school with his hands up, over his head and these kids with him. In fact, it was terribly shocking seeing all this unfold just a few miles away. Reflecting back on my life now, I see this as kind of a turning point in my development of a resilient way of being in the world. One of the first really big tragedies that I had to deal with as an adult, as a teacher, and as a parent. Over the next days and weeks and months, I struggled with sleeping, with feeling safe at my school, and really more so with wondering if my kids were safe at their schools every day, every morning when I told them goodbye. I had discovered the writings of Nhat a few years before Columbine, and although I hadn't yet been to any of his or a retreat, I knew that he came to Colorado every other year. But I had sat at a couple sanghas, and I had internalized a bit of that idea of staying in the present moment, coming back to breath. That was a help at that time. Another thing that I really turned to was Dr. Brooks and his writing. He had given all of us his email address. And so one night, late one night, I wrote to him just asking what he thought I could do for myself, for my kids, for my two children at home, and for my students at school. How I choose to build a resilient mindset at that time. And I really didn't think I would hear back from this very busy Harvard psychologist, but I did. And if you ask me exactly what he said in those emails, I can't tell you. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I do remember is that his compassion and his caring really came through, even through emails. I discovered that this was a way I was able to build resilience by knowing that someone else cared, that they cared enough to write me back, that they cared enough to listen. That really helped me stay in the game. We stayed in touch on and off for about a year or so. And I learned that showing up for others and their struggles is so important. From them, for them, and for you. Dr. Brooks didn't have the golden ticket to end my suffering. Nobody does. But he helped me discover that we all have our own wellspring of compassion and caring. And the more you show it, the more you grow it inside yourself. So as I started to build my resilience, it helped him become more resilient himself. It became really obvious, even through emails, when someone sincerely shows that they care. That was the beginning of my resilient mindset. I'll tell you a little more about Dr. Brooks. He, of course, was no stranger to suffering and adversity. When he was a boy, his older brother, Erwin, was in the Air Force, and he was killed in a plane accident. And at that time, Dr. Brooks was critical of his parents' response, but with the advantage of age and reflection, he could see how his parents showed love and caring for each other and for him and his remaining brothers in the immediate year or two after the accident. He writes, the achievements of their other sons. They continued to live, to love, to add meaning to the lives of others. While I may have wished that they could have discussed Erwin's death in a more prompt and comfortable manner, they discovered their own timetable. And while they were doing so, they ensured that love would permeate their relationship with their family and friends. I slowly came to appreciate the magnitude of their resilience. He writes, resiliency is made of ordinary rather than extraordinary processes. That bears repeating for me. Resiliency is made of ordinary rather than extraordinary processes. I feel like that's what Dr. Brooks was offering me, ordinary processes, nothing extraordinary. So don't ever underestimate the power of sincerely checking in with someone, asking them, hey, how are you doing? What's going on with you? And being there to listen. No expectations of fixing, just listening. So, how does that story from long ago relate to what we are going through today? Well, I have some ideas. The shock, the jolt of sheltering in place due to a worldwide pandemic is something like Columbine to me on a magnified scale. If you think since March of 2020, when we were told to socially isolate from others, most of us did so. Now we're told we can return to social interactions. So, how many of you have tried to return to normal social functioning and now feel somewhere on the scale from mildly to totally overwhelmed? Or maybe you're an extrovert and you love it just how it is, which is great. In a recent online global resilience summit, I did an interview entitled Calming Fear and Anxiety. It was with Dr. Stephen Borges. Dr. Borges is a distinguished university scientist at Indiana, where he's the founding director of the Traumatic Stress Research Consortium. In 1994, he proposed the polyvagal theory, a theory that links the evolution of the nervous system to social behavior and emphasizes the importance of our physiological states. So that was a bit of psychobabble, and you may be wondering, what is this distinguished scientist doing on a mindfulness summit broadcast? Well, it was awesome. He was talking about the link between mindful breathing, mental and physical health. He was saying that breath comes into our body and reunites the body and mind as one. That probably sounds familiar if you've read anything by Thich Nhat Hanh. Borges spoke about how our bodies have been under threat, how we have been experiencing a natural neurological threat because over a year ago we were told to shelter in place. And now we're told that we can once again socialize. He asked a question I liked a lot. What is going to be the retuning of who you are? Think about that, the idea of retuning. It's like an instrument that hasn't been played for 14 months, and now somebody is dusting it off, and before playing a song on it, they know they need to check the strings, do a little tightening here and there, sound true. It reminds me of a friend I recently spoke with, and she was telling me that she's about how she will behave in social situations because, as she said, I think my social filters are out of whack. I probably just shouldn't go out in public. I get in the social situations my partner and I have been in, I start to quickly feel just tired. Seriously. We had friends come over and we were sitting around outside talking. After about, I was thinking, oh, I wonder when they're going to go home. I just am feeling exhausted. And these were people I really love and could spend hours with before the pandemic. So, along with offering our deep compassion and caring to others, we need to remember some self-care. As Dr. Borges said, don't dismiss what your body is telling you. Recognize it and come up with a personal toolbox. Personal toolbox. Now that's a cool idea. He said, try dosing yourself with social interactions, sort of like getting the vaccine. Have one or a few people over, rather than a gathering of 20, 40 people. Use mindful breathing to really tune into what your body is saying. For me, it's just coming back to Thai's Gatha about the breath. In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present, wonderful. That always helps me so much. Dr. Borges says we can ask ourselves, what is happening with my bodily sensations? Find the story that is there. Really follow the story your body is telling you. Here's an example, a personal story. In our home, we have 3 very determined dogs that remind us every day about how beneficial a walk is for them and for us. They're like pandemic schmandemic. We want to go for a walk. So we live about a half a block from the neighborhood park, and since walking outside has always been considered low risk, we continued our walks every day. All masked up at first because we didn't know for sure how the virus spread, kind of stepping to one side on the footpath. Could we get COVID from the joggers huffing and puffing around the lake? What about those love moony teenagers on the benches? What about other people just out walking there? So we all continued to mask. Then we received the 2 doses of the vaccine, and then the CDC said we don't have to mask outside. Drop the masks outside, but some are still wearing masks. So the questions persist. Have they not received the vaccine? They currently have the virus? Are they some of the population still at risk? If so, shouldn't I be wearing a mask? Welcome to just a few seconds in my anxiety-filled mind. You understand the threat to my nervous system. I am, after all, we all are social creatures. To some degree, we all love to talk and mingle. I know maybe not everyone as much as I do, but it's an established fact that we eventually all crave social interaction. We want to connect. Even my partner, Leanne, a self-proclaimed introvert, has been a little giddy about socializing again. Dr. Borges also recommended mitigating our response with selectivity. It is good to interact with others and invite them in because your body and your mind is actually asking for that. And also remembering that anxiety, even anger and fear are natural responses for where we are at right now. Dr. Borges points out that part of our difficulties lie in the fact that we all have been betrayed or harmed or hurt by someone we trust. So, this body and mind remembrance of trauma alerts us on some level to protect ourselves. How do we know this is okay? This is where some reflection took me back to the trauma situation of the Colin shooting. Could the anxious feelings in me now be related to that? I think it most certainly must be. After school was a safe place, just as walking in the park was considered safe. A good look at ourselves, some self-reflection helps, not getting stuck in our past traumas, but recognizing influence us. And there are so many uncertainties: travel, meeting new people. Your physiological state doesn't have the same resilience it once had. So how can you rebuild it? Interact with those you trust. This creates that base that you can build on. And work on that personal toolkit. Acknowledge things. Be even more mindful of honoring your own body's reaction. Can we approach ourselves with curiosity, maybe thinking, that's an interesting sensation? And if you feel very uncertain, maybe asking yourself, what is underlying this? Can you identify it or feel it in different parts of your body? Another tool in that kit may be to go on a journey of your body and feelings, just observing what is there. You can actually get in a dialogue with your body because your body is so smart. What is it telling you? Your body's reacting to something that no longer exists to the degree that was there only a few weeks or months ago. So we can act slightly in our thinking, knowing that humans crave predictability. You can even bring a lightheartedness to it. Maybe think of it as playing peekaboo with the baby. I remember the first time playing peekaboo with my son, and the look of distress on his sweet little face when my face disappeared behind my hands. And then his quick smile when he figured out, oh, it's a game. This is fun. Maybe we can figure out a way to play social peekaboo right now. So let's review a little bit. Robert Brooks reminds us to show up for each other. And he also told us that resilience is made of ordinary rather than extraordinary processes. Dr. Borges said, don't dismiss what your body is telling you. Recognize it. Come up with a personal toolbox. Descartes once said a long time ago, I think, therefore I am. Nature often gives us the signal to think, stay in our heads, push the body away or ignore it. I wonder if we could tweak that statement just a little bit. I am fully embodied where I am. Try this at home. Feel what you're feeling rather than pushing it away or stuffing it down. And remember, we can practice breathing. Polyvagal theory tells us that slow inhalations, exhalations can actually cause a physiological shift. We know that from meditating. Because of the pandemic and because of just our lives, we all have trauma history. So what will your trauma responses be? I remember listening to an early pandemic Zoom session with Sister Pearl from Magnolia Grove Monastery. It was about a year ago right now. In fact, it was her talk to the graduating class of 2020. She asked, "How can we wait peacefully, mindfully?" She told us to wait and be active, be present. Not everything stops just because we are waiting. She wondered, what kind of energy do I want to generate while waiting for the pandemic to be over? I think those questions are just as relevant today, only now it is, how can we engage with each other mindfully? How can we engage with each other peacefully? What kind of energy do we want to bring into social situations right now? How can my own friendly resilience help me go back into the world right now? I'd like to end with a couple of quotes. I see some people from Cultivating Mindfulness in Fort Worth are with us tonight. They'll recognize this one. Part of a poem by Wendell Berry. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we've begun our real journey. And from Thich Nhat Hanh, who I think we all could recognize as a most resilient being. He said, "We have more possibilities available in each moment than we realize." We have more possibilities available in each moment than we realize. So I'd like to end this by telling you all that you can work on your own toolbox, work on some resiliency. And thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for your attention. And I look forward to talking with you more.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. I can relate to most of what you said, especially the part about being with people and recognizing that there's kind of a maximum number of people I can be with before I really wear out, before I really just, like you said, feel exhausted. So I appreciate the talk very much. Thank you. Um, so we're gonna in a minute or so, we're going to go to Zoom in order to share, and I do hope that all of you will go with us over to Zoom. I feel sure you have something you would like to say and share. Maybe you've discovered a way that something that's helping you be resilient, and maybe you would like to share it with us. That would be great. So look for the Zoom link in your chat window, and we'll join you there. Thanks.
And we'll go over to Zoom here in a bit. You'll see that link in the window, and in the meantime, Nick will close this session with our 4 vows of awakening beings.
Countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless truth doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize.
just saying goodbye to those of you on YouTube. Do hop over on Zoom. The link is in the chat, and we'll see you over on Zoom here in a few seconds. So for now, goodbye to you, those of you on YouTube, and if you're already on Zoom, stay there.